I'm Haley.
I'm John.
And I'm Will.
And we're from Crimson Comet, a podcast member of the Gonna Geek Network.
Just like the one you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of the individual host.
Check out other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. And get ready, because geekiness begins in
3,
2,
1.
You are listening to PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture.
Captain's Log Supplemental.
PopXcast.
Hasta la vista, baby.
By the power of Grayskull, Autobots, transform.
Excelsior!
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
We're having some amazing time. Welcome, everyone. This is episode number 56 of PopXcast, and we are going to be talking, of course, about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
We're going to be throwing down some amazing nerd nuggets later on in the show, maybe even be giving our reviews, what we liked, a little bit of, not really so much of what we didn't like. There's quite a bit of the movie we love.
Not too much.
So, yeah, we got a lot to cover, and we got the whole team here this week. We got Austin, Lindsay, and Mike joining us in Regions and Parts Unknown. Hey, guys, welcome to PopX, where science fiction meets pop culture. I'm your host, Joe Burke, Central Florida's seasoned comic book nerd and retro enthusiast. We'd like to welcome everyone joining us live here at PopX.live and Geeks.live chat room, and we'll feel free to come on and hang out with us and join the conversation at PopXcast.com.
What is up, everybody? I am Austin Burke, the Appalachian Geek at Heart. If you guys missed episode 55, where we tore apart Iron Fist, that was fun. Check our official website at PopXcast.com for this and other great past shows from PopX.
And I'm Lindsay Badger, your favorite geeky yoki. And that's Lindsay Badger, because Joe talked over me. Make sure you head over to Google Play or iTunes after this show and click that subscribe button. Catch up on some amazing shows from PopX's archive. And hey, while you're there, we'd certainly appreciate you showing us some geeky love and leaving us a 5-star rating and review.
Yes.
Five.
Lindsay, I'm sorry I talked over you. I had to repeat our last show when I said
Iron Fist.
because
That's okay. That's okay.
That's the best thing we said about it. The best.
Well, the good thing about episode 56, no more Danny Rand. Can we all say
True?
I'm okay with that.
We got Kurt Russell instead. I like that.
Kurt Russell any day of the week. You know what I'm saying?
Good man.
All right, guys. Without all said, we're going to hit on into the news right now. Sit tight. We'll be right back.
Extra, read all about it. This is PopX News, coming to you live right here on PopXcast.com.
All right. Yes. That is the news header. And leading us off this week on the top of the news list, we really don't have a lot of news because we're going to spend some time on some Guardians love. So for X-Men, Fox's X-Men seem to be on a roll lately, and we can kind of feel that momentum. The studio has had his hand in major successes, especially with Deadpool and the recent Logan. Oh my God, Logan gave me so many feels. But and their first television offering with Legion. Did anybody see Legion?
Oh yes, I've caught up, and it is a mind warp, man. Fantastic.
Oh my gosh, it was crazy, but it's good. We may even do a show on Legion before season 2.
I'm so excited about Legion.
So they hope to continue that magic with their new show, X-Men Gifted, starting with a pilot directed by their new by the franchise mainstay Bryan Singer. Now we all know that name pretty well. And now the production on the show is underway. For the first image of the new show has surfaced. The show will hopefully, look at that, will hopefully air on Fox but we likely won't find out if it's picked up for a full season order or for some time after that. So we're hoping good things happen with X-Men, quote unquote, gifted. So
let's hope it stays on par with all their stuff.
And this is the first time I'm actually hearing about this news. Usually I kind of skim through the news, but this is the first time I've heard about. So X-Men is actually going to be having Legion and Gifted?
Legion and Gifted. They had like a little, I guess it was like a teaser, not really a trailer. I guess the trailer is dropping soon. But it was really cool. It actually showcased a lot of different powers.
It did.
Which is something that Legion didn't really do for the first few episodes. So I think it's going to be more along the lines of what the X-Men animated show was. So, and Bryan Singer doing it, I think it's a good idea.
I got to say, the 90s X-Men is by far one of my favorite genre and storylines. It was beautiful. It not only just in the comics, because we had Jim Lee drawing everything in the comics, but also on television, we had one of the best cartoons, I believe, that has ever been drafted in a series of cartoons, except for the Batman the Animated Series, which is probably one of my favorite. But yeah. So, Austin, what's number 2 on the list this week?
All right, guys. Some had hoped a scheduling change could help DC's workplace sitcom Powerless, but the show, along with many other shows actually, has now exited the NBC lineup entirely. Powerless struggled early on to engage viewers, but even before the show had hit air, it had significant changes in the premise. I know it started with an original point and completely went away with that, and a lot of fans were really disappointed. So hopefully the show can get a complete edition on Blu-ray or DVD at some point, so the series fans can see the remaining footage. So what do you guys think about Powerless getting
I heard that it was awful.
I saw the writing on the wall.
So, yeah. I didn't see it. I was just like, I don't have enough time on my list to be watching crappy shows. I have a lot of other ones to see.
I have this to say about Powerless. About the only thing I loved about Powerless, and I saw 2 episodes in their entirety, was the intro to the show. It was pretty good because the intro had the old retro Superman and Batman and Green Lantern comics, but that's about it.
Didn't they stick with the pilot is what I heard, and then after the pilot, that's when they changed directions. So really, I mean, I think changing directions actually hurt it because the test audiences liked the original premise, but they thought it was too far crazy, or as we like to call it, comic booky. Right. So they wanted to make it more.
It was really weird.
Yeah.
Well, when you think about shows that are on the television now, of course, like Gotham. Let's use Gotham for an example in the DC universe. We have shows that have villains that are just rotten and to the core and graphic and gritty and in your face. And then you get to Powerless, and the villains on there were just so campy and cheesy.
Funny.
They're like fluffy bad guys.
Yeah, it would be like if Mark Wahlberg was on LSD running around in the Big Bird suit.
Whoa.
That's a great comparison.
I'm just going to throw it out there. I just said it. So
I'd like to see that.
I would pay to see that, actually.
Somebody with Photoshop, get to work.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Send us a meme. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. Well, this next little bit of news, I did hear about it before, and I'm really excited to see how this comes to fruition. Sci-Fi has ordered Krypton. It's a Superman prequel, and it's getting the full first season. So that's going to really, with the announcement, the network has revealed that the first photo of the main cast members. So that's pretty
cool.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
The photo features its star, Cameron, is it Cuff or Coof? Either way.
I would say
Coof.
Potato.
I would go with Coof. Yeah.
That sounds cool.
He's front and center. The actor is portraying the grandfather of Superman in the series, Sygel. And the character is fighting for the future of his House of El and to save the world he calls home. There was no official release set for Krypton's premiere, but if everything continues to go smoothly, we can likely expect to see Krypton debut in the 2017-2018 mid-season window. So
I approve.
And I saw the trailer, like the teaser trailer that came out. I think I shared that with you too, Joe. And it looks really cool.
Yeah, it sold me on the trailer, and I'm actually really excited to see the Sci-Fi Network kind of hopping on the superhero bandwagon, if you will. Now, there's a lot of people, you're either really enjoying these prequel backstories, or you're really not. And there's a lot of series out there that's kind of like, for example, there's a lot of people that love Gotham. There's a lot of people that hate Gotham because they don't like seeing Bruce Wayne as a child. But those of us that enjoy and appreciate the franchise for what it is, and especially some of the amazing minds that's come up with these stories, you enjoy seeing the development of how the Riddler came to be, or how Oswald Cobblepot, developed his ring of mayhem over Gotham. And I truly.
And a note on Gotham while we're talking about it, they are coming back for season 4 officially. So.
Yeah, they were one of the shows that got picked up.
Yes.
And so, is anybody caught up here on Gotham?
I'm behind. I need to catch up.
I have 2 episodes left, but I know there's good things to come. So
Mr. Freeze.
The spoilers.
Anyway.
Yes.
So, yes. But all right, so moving on, we have this is some non-comic news, but this is pretty awesome. Production on the Jurassic World sequel has begun. Will begin in February, rather, at Pinewood Studios in London, not the one in Atlanta. Plot details have not officially been released as of yet, but the rumor has it that the film will deal with Dr. Henry Wu using Jurassic World technology to create dinosaurs for military use, as foreshadowed in the Jurassic World. And we could see the return of Jurassic Park character. A new photo from the Jurassic World 2 set, and return of Mr. Jeff Goldblum as Dr. Ian Malcolm. And we have seen that. And so more Jeff Goldblum any time of the day.
He's busy right now.
He's doing a lot of stuff.
He's a busy guy right now.
Hey, it was good to see him. He's going to be in the upcoming Thor Ragnarok, as we all know that. So, but anybody see his cameo in the credits of Guardians of the Galaxy?
He was dancing.
Yeah,
Such a cool little Easter egg.
I was like, holy cow, that's Jeff freaking Goldblum.
He wasn't in this movie. What's going on? No, I love seeing Jeff Goldblum because for a little while he was on a little bit of a hiatus, and he wasn't really
one of my
popping up in any
favorite
movies.
actors of all time.
Yeah.
He's played so many different roles.
I love Jeff Goldblum.
He's fantastic. But let's go ahead and move on, guys. So FXX, not FX, FXX, put in a series, for an Untitled Marvel's Deadpool animated adult action comedy TV series from Marvel Television and FX Productions. So listen to this. Donald Glover, who might be one of the busiest people in Hollywood right now, and Stephen Glover will serve as showrunners, writers, and executive producers for the series. The president of original programming for the FX network said, Donald Glover is an incredibly gifted and versatile artist. That's true. Yeah. Who will bring the Untitled Marvel's Deadpool series to life with the same intense, singular vision as his breakout hit Atlanta, which is a great show. So with the success of Legion, we are looking forward to again partnering with Marvel Television to create a series that is bold, striking, and entirely original. And that's the thing that I worry about most with this, because when you see Deadpool, you're going to think of Ryan Reynolds. So let's cast somebody completely out of left field, maybe even an unknown, and let's make this series awesome. What do you guys think?
I like that they're not trying to match verbatim the same
movie.
Character style and kind of break that mold a little bit and still appreciate the character for who he is, but not necessarily the actor style.
Well, you thinking about Deadpool too, of course we know Cable talking about the cinematic version of it, we know Cable has been cast. And that's Josh Brolin, of course. Did anybody see Josh Brolin's tweet on Instagram? He went on, dude, he's getting ripped.
Is he getting jacked? I can see that. That's awesome.
He was doing curls, and his biceps are like bulging in this. So he's really getting ready for the Cable part.
Veins popping.
Yes.
Veins popping.
I think he said something to the effects, Cable transformation in progress or something like that.
Oh, my goodness.
Like, holy cow, this is going to be
good. So everybody's top pick before Josh Brolin got cast was Stephen Lang, right? The guy from Avatar.
Yes.
Let's cast him as the voice of Cable in this animated series and give him his due. I think
I can see that.
Fantastic. I would love that.
You heard it here only on PopX, guys. Only on PopX. All right, so, we're going to actually dive right on into now the actual main segment of the show. We're going to allow plenty of time. We have a plethora of Easter eggs and little nerd nuggets for you coming along here. So, you know what? I think it's only fitting we let the ladies start first this time.
Oh, my goodness. You guys are going to make me start first.
Well, it's either people get so tired of hearing my voice. They get so tired. Oh, it's Joe Burke again. Let the lady have her due. So, Lindsay Badger, what did you think of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? What did you like? What didn't you like?
I can't wait to
Some
hear
things that stood out from it for you? So
Okay. Well, I first had to watch the first one because I was kind of behind on the bandwagon of watching that. So my husband and I both got to catch up on the first one, and I really liked it. I fell in love with the characters. There was a lot of character building there. So it moved a little bit slower. It wasn't nearly as energetic as the second one. The second one came out of the gate flying around, dancing, having a good time. You think you're at a battle that feels like a party, and this guy took my heart away. I love this little Groot. And so the overall feel for the movie was, there was a great storyline, and there was some things that kicked you in the feels, but overall it was a really good, hilarious movie that had cram-packed full of jokes. You were always laughing at something that somebody was saying, whether it was a little tiny reference or a one-liner, or like how they set up each other for the different shenanigans that they were up to was just absolutely amazing. But I think the coolest thing about this Volume 2 is that it focuses on relationships, and not just romantic ones. They're talking about family, not just between the Guardians, but between Quill and his dad, which is jacked, totally jacked with ego. Rocket, how he's disconnected from everybody, but then he kind of gets a swift kick in the butt by Yondu, and he kind of starts realizing that he really does have connection to people, which is really cool and sets up for Volume 3. I think we're going to see a lot more development with his character moving forward. And also how Yondu was, even though we lost him, that was really sad.
Yondu.
But Yondu, I keep saying Yondu. I'm sorry. I'm going to jack up names.
It's okay.
Yondu's good. Forgive me, Nerd World. Yondu, I really didn't like the guy in the first one, but then you get all warm and fuzzy and attached to him through the whole second volume, and it's really, really sad.
Yeah.
And how they honored him at the end, even though he did some shady stuff, was really kind of cool. I really liked that. So overall, you get the fun, but you also get some good heartfelt, and even the big bads, they're crazy, and you get some really good fight scenes, not only with the battles in the space with the ships and pew pew and all that stuff, but also some hand-to-hand combat as well. And Nebula really turned a cheek in this movie too.
She did. Oh yeah.
She really grew a lot in this movie, which I was really happy to see, because I really didn't like her at all. I was like, do we have to have her back, you guys? But in this one, it was really good. And can I just say something about the music?
Yes.
I know the first movie, that was what sold me on the series, was the music. I'm a huge fan of the 70s and the 80s music, and Volume 2 just leveled it up. It took it another step higher, and it really, man, James Gunn, he knows how to orchestrate it and make it really sync all together and bring all the elements together. And it was just a beautiful movie visually. It was all bright colors, and Ego's planet looked like something out of like a Dr. Seuss book. It was incredible.
Yeah.
So there was so many different awesome good things that if there was something bad, I didn't catch it. I know that there was some things around the internet that they were like, oh, you totally screwed up this on the timeline. I'm like, who cares, dude? Sit back and eat your popcorn and enjoy the dang movie. Yeah. It is amazing. I love Stan Lee and his cameos, and
we'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Yeah, and I know we've got a lot of things to cover in detail too, but to basically wrap it up, I love it, you guys. There's not really much more to say other than it's amazing.
I smell a high score from you, Lindsay. Like,
yeah.
I'm smelling a super high score.
It's gonna be. Are we saving the scores to the end?
We're saving the scores to the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so.
All right, Austin
So,
Burke. I'm going to let Austin
I'll let
kind
you
of.
guys talk some more about it.
Lindsay Badger, thank you so much for sharing.
You're
and
welcome.
You know what's so good about having her perspective in it, because Lindsay actually comes to the whole comic scene as I don't want to say a newbie, because that's kind of like undercutting it, but she comes up with fresh eyes. I usually have
zero reference from the comic books, and then I usually learn about it later after I've seen it. Be like, oh, that makes so much more sense now.
So yeah, like I said, I mean, you come to it with fresh eyes and a fresh perspective, and that's sometimes really great to have someone with that input, because it gives you a different. Sometimes someone with fresh eyes can see something that Austin or myself, who's been in comics for most of our lives, we're like, oh, I didn't really think of it like that. That's really awesome. So thumbs up to Lindsay Badger. Now, Austin Burke, my cousin in Kentucky, what's going on? What do you think? What's up with the Guardians?
I mean, the beautiful thing about Guardians is even the ones who were enveloped in comics when we first saw the movie, we had obviously heard of the Guardians, but I've never read a Guardians comic. You know, I've never seen a Guardians TV show until now, of course, because of how popular it's become. Yeah. But I love, and I'm kind of taking off Lindsay's point here. I want to talk about the music for a second. And not just the songs, the way that James Gunn integrated the songs. I read online that he had a list of 500 songs. And as he was writing the movie, he would say, what song deserves to be in this spot? What song is going on with this scene? And I think that's one of the best parts about this entire series, and something that really no other movie does really well. Suicide Squad tried to do it. It turned out more like a music video. Guardians, it implemented it really, really well. And I think Volume 2, while I didn't like the song choices as much, I think they used the songs better than the first one used the songs. Yeah. And I thought that was great. I think the scope of Guardians 2 is awesome. And I think me and Joe, we did a review on my YouTube page. I talked about this a little bit. This is kind of like what George Lucas did with Star Wars. I think James Gunn is trying to do. He's trying to take this world from the comics and build it into his own little universe. And I think that's fantastic. And he's, of course, taking leeways and stuff. But every choice that he's made against the comic books, fans have not had a problem with.
Yeah.
The limited amount of fans of Guardians comics, they've not had a problem with it at all. And I think that is awesome, because you rarely ever see that. Another thing that I loved was the character relationships between, ones that you didn't expect, Yondu and Rocket and Star-Lord and Gamora and Nebula and Star-Lord and his father, which I think was a fantastic relationship. Finally, we get a really good villain for the first time in a couple of years in a Marvel movie. I mean, Doctor Strange is kind of lacking. Even the first Guardians, I didn't think Ronan was a good villain at all, but we're in spoilers, so Ego was a really good villain. And while I didn't like the secondary villains as much, I thought the Sovereign, while there was some funny moments with them and cool stuff, I thought they were kind of shoehorned in there, and that was kind of one of my negatives, but really didn't bother me because Ego was such a cool villain. And getting into a couple of negatives, I really don't have too many.
Let me pause you right there before you go into the negatives.
Oh, you're good, man.
We are going to actually play the spoiler alert warning, because in case you're watching this and you didn't hear it in the beginning, we're going to play it again. No, we didn't play the spoiler alert at the beginning of this. So
no, well, I just did a whole bunch of them.
No, it's all good. You didn't really you skimmed the surface, but you didn't go all in, Lindsay. I think you're okay. It. All right, so we'll be right back. Austin, hold that on your negatives.
You're about to enter a PopX spoiler alert. Beyond this point, there is no return.
You have been warned.
You have been warned.
Austin Burke, go for it.
I was thinking that, but now I was like, they've made it this far. Let's just keep going.
This is good, yeah.
But like I said, I don't have a lot of negatives. I thought the end battle, it could have turned a little bit too much comic booky at the end with all the CGI and stuff, but it didn't. It didn't reach that level at all. And I thought the moments were really good. While Ego didn't, I think, 100% earn his big bad villain moment, and of course they had to throw in, he's destroying all these planets. I thought it was well handled by James Gunn, and it's something that he had to do because it's something that fit in the movie. I thought the weakest character was Nebula, but I liked Nebula's story arc. I thought her story arc was good. I just thought she kind of overcooked it a little bit. Everything she said, she sounded like she was constipated. Don't look at me like that. It's like every word. That kind of bothered me after thinking about it again.
I gotta go poop.
It's like thing. I don't know. That might just be a personal thing. I don't know. But that's just something about
She's a very frustrated girl.
She was very angry, but you know what? That was part of her character arc, so I have no right to complain about that. And I thought going into the movie, there was going to be too much Groot. I thought they were just going to shove him in, because we're trying to sell toys.
Enough Groot.
Which, let's face it, Baby Groot is there to sell toys. That is why he is there. But they used him perfectly.
Look at his face.
He's so cute.
His face.
I thought that was the best job James Gunn did. Was using Baby Groot perfectly. Not too much, not too little. And people walked out talking about Baby Groot, and that's what they intended to do. And finally, my last point, my biggest point, my favorite character in the movie, Yondu. I love him. I love Michael Rooker. I think he did a phenomenal job. I thought the ending was very sad. The more I think about it, the more I get sad. I'm going to go watch the movie again tomorrow, and I have a feeling I'm going to shed some tears because they handled that perfectly, and his relationship with Sylvester Stallone was very, very well done. I thought it was great, and it added a lot to his character. So overall, guys, really enjoyed the movie. While I don't think I like it as much as the first one, it is definitely in the upper echelon of Marvel movies. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, you need to go watch it because this is a theater experience if there ever was one.
Oh my goodness,
Joe,
yes, absolutely.
take it away. Yeah, that's so good, guys.
All right, so right out of the gate, before I even open up in my spiel, because I have a few topics I want to hit on myself, I was actually digging through some of my own personal collection today, and I picked up 2 comics, and it definitely falls into the Guardians universe. And number one here is Inhumans #1.
Yes.
This is my personal private collection, but now we're talking about specifically Guardians of the Galaxy. And this is one of the comics I forgot I had, and I do have it. And I'm just going to show this for you for a second. This is Guardians of the Galaxy #1. This is Drax. This is Drax, and this is Sylvester Stallone's character. This is Starhawk right there. And then we got Yondu. Look at Yondu. And so it just keeps on going around. So we've got so many great characters on the cover of this. This is Guardians of the Galaxy is like what Austin said. It's one of those bunch of individuals that we've heard about in the comics, but we've never really dove into. I've had the fortunate privilege to be able to have read several of the Guardians of the Galaxy comic books and understand a little bit of the story arcs that they went through, especially back in the day in the early 90s rather. And so I think they captured. I want to just talk about the elephant in the room right quick. I am talking about Yondu. Michael Rooker. Oh my God. It was, I want to say this is a sacrificial love because he wasn't the father that he was never able and meant to be for Star-Lord, for Chris's character and Peter Quill. And I think that, understanding that going into Volume 2, Yondu has a deeper sense for his son. And especially, when he's like, I'm not your father. I'm your daddy.
I'm your daddy.
Gosh. I mean,
heartstrings.
And we all know that Kurt Russell's character is playing Ego, the living planet, and it was so awesome how James Gunn developed that story arc because actually the living planet is not a celestial in the comics. So the fact that this is the first time in Marvel Cinematic Universe that we actually are introduced to a celestial is kind of a big deal because that opens up many floodgates for future story arcs down the road, especially when we get into the post-Infinity War era. Celestials are definitely individuals you don't want to come in contact with. They're big bads. And I think that how James Gunn developed Ego into a celestial was really brilliant on his part. And let's just talk a minute about Peter Quill and the story arc between his father. I think I was understanding, I was sitting in there, I was like, how is this all going to come to fruition? How is this all going to play out? And then when he was talking about how he visited all the galaxies and all the planets, and he planted his little seed pod on each one, and he's DNA genetically combined to the entire universe as a whole. I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was just like, holy cow.
That's very creative.
He never dies. He's an eternal celestial. He's had time to do all of this and visit all these galaxies and planets and all this. And it was just a beautiful, for me, just hearing that and how it all came together. It's something we've never seen in MCU before. We've never seen this kind of scope of storytelling, especially from James Gunn. Avengers has its moments of lagging, and so there's a few moments here in Guardians as well. But I think those moments in Guardians are very necessary. There's a particular moment where Yondu and Rocket are in a cell together, and they're captured by the what is it, the Ravengers? I think it is. And I think that moment with Rocket and Yondu connecting and talking about Peter and how are they going to get out, what they're going to do, and then Groot's interaction obviously is just brilliant. Going back and forth to the cabinet trying to find the fin. It was just awesome. But for me, what really set it home, and this is kind of one of those moments that makes Guardians of the Galaxy so unique from Iron Man, Hulk, Avengers, whatever you're watching, it's the music. You can sit there in the theater and you can watch a score, and you can hear a score by Trevor, or you can hear one by John Williams. But when you hear actual songs from that era, that actually Fleetwood Mac, Chain, I mean, come on, is that not a great song or not?
Still stuck in my head.
And you hear these kind of songs. And then we had the opening one by Brandy. Brandy, you're a fine girl. You've been a good wife to me. I thought that was just amazing how.
And he took the lyrics and tied it into the storyline.
Yeah, it's almost like he had a base of songs and he wrote the songs, or he wrote the script around the songs. I'm like, yes. And let's be honest for a second before I kind of wrap this up. James Gunn has until Guardians of the Galaxy has in some ways struggled to find his presence in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And when Marvel gave him full exclusive rights to be able to be creative as he wanted to with Guardians of the Galaxy, I think for the first time that inner child inside of him has been unlocked, and he's able to actually explore and be the nerd, be the geek, be the comic book individual that he's grown up to be. And we're seeing the fruit of his labor through these amazing movies that he's making. And so for me personally, I think that even Drax, oh my gosh, Drax's one-liners. There's some that's kind of like, it feels a little forced.
Reaching.
There's some that's just kind of like, okay, they could have probably tweaked that a little bit. But for the most part, I think his character development was awesome, especially with what's the girl with the antennas on her head?
Mantis.
Mantis, thank you. Had a brain fart moment. But I thought that was really good. You're really ugly. You're really, really grotesque.
I am ugly.
She was
cute. She was so cute.
So that was really interesting, and I just think honestly the whole movie, even though Guardians of the Galaxy Part 1 set the bar, I think Part 2 for me elevated it to a whole new dimension. And I'm a fan of Part 1, but I'm a bigger fan of Part 2.
Really? Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So out of the gate, that would be my personal thing. Now, things I didn't like, there was a couple of slow moments, but I understand those slow moments kind of had to be so we can get some character backstory, get some character development. Yes. There was a couple of slow moments between Ego and Peter, especially when they're on the planet. You're kind of like, okay, we're back at the planet. They're just walking around, and what's going on here? You're just kind of scratching your head like, all right, come on, get the ball rolling. What's going on here?
Move it along.
And then there was also a moment with Rocket and Yondu in the cell that kind of felt a little dragged out. You could have said what you needed to say and then keep on. I'm not going to pick it apart, though. I'm not going to pick it apart because this movie deserves so much credit. So that's, for me, that is where I would want to leave it. What do you guys think about that?
Dude, those are all great points, and I like that you guys like Guardians 2 more. I think that is awesome because what this movie is doing, this movie is furthering along the Marvel universe. This is taking it to the next level and getting us ready for Infinity War, which is going to be a culmination of everything including Guardians. Yeah. So I think those were great points, Joe.
All right.
Yeah, I think that you were on point with pretty much everything.
I appreciate that. So let's go around the table. We'll start with Lindsay, Austin, then myself, and Mike. I don't know if you want to text me your review. Mike was supposed to be on the show tonight. He's having a couple.
Check the chat box.
Oh, he's in the chat box. Okay, so we'll check that. Maybe somebody can give me a score, whatever he wants to say there. I don't know why I said that right when Austin said that. It's got the little thing going on.
He had a thing.
Yeah. Can somebody read to me what Mike said?
If you don't like this if you don't like this movie, you need to check into a mental institution or check your pulse. You may be dead.
Sad thing is, there are some critics that were hating on this movie. There are some critics out there, more so than
there are a lot of crazy people in the world, Austin.
And these are probably 60, no pun intended, on people that are 55 and plus. They were probably older generation individuals who have never seen a comic book movie or even cracked open the page of these beautiful comics. And I am so sorry you have not. So I don't. All right. So Lindsay Badger. Then Mike, make sure you put your review down there as well. So we want to give that. Lindsay, what's your number?
Score?
Your score.
Let's do it.
I'm going to do a 9.7.
Holy cow. Wow.
Yeah. There was I mean, you brought up the dragging points, but I mean, I could look over them because there's so much awesome in this movie that I can't even hate on it at all, really.
Wow. Well, in the words of Killer Instinct, my favorite game ever on Nintendo,
Ultimate Combo.
That was awesome. Good job.
High five, Baby Groot. Good job.
Hey, Groot. All right, Austin. Yeah.
I don't want to. I mean, I'm not going to drag anybody down, but I'm going to have the lowest score. I'm going to go an 8 out of 10. I want to go an 8 out of 10 because there were some definitely for me there were some problems in this movie. Not crazy problems, but there were some problems, and I think an overabundance of humor for me. While I think the humor was great, for me it was like 85-15. And some of the jokes didn't hit, and there were some jokes at some moments when it's like, oh, this is really sad. Make a joke that doesn't belong. You shouldn't make a joke. Other than that, guys, 8 out of 10. That's a great score. This is definitely my top 3 favorite movies of the year so far.
I think that's pretty fair coming from a hobby movie critic.
Yeah, and I review. I've watched 22 movies this year, and this is my number 3 or 4 favorite movie.
That's awesome score.
But I think 8 out of 10 is really solid, and I can't wait to see what Joe says.
I'm going to go with my score that I gave on yours is 8.7. I think it's a score I gave on yours, but I
think you gave an 8.9.
Did I give an 8.9?
You gave an 8.9.
He marinated on it a little longer.
You know what? I'm going to go with 8.9. I changed it I changed it midstream. I think honestly it does. I'm easily to look over a couple of the flaws. I do agree with you. There was a couple of jokes that just misfired on all cylinders, but at the same time, the overall scope of Guardians as a whole, just mind blowing what they've done with this movie, and I think it was definitely an 8.9 for me. And I think, and we want to hear from you. And we're not done with this show, so don't think we're wrapping up because we still have like 20 minutes of Easter eggs that we're going to drop in your lap.
So many things to dive down rabbit holes in.
But here's the thing: all of our listeners and all of our watchers on YouTube or over on Podbean or iTunes, let us know. Email us popxcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought, or comment below in the YouTube video that you're watching live right now. Let us know what your score was, what you thought of the film, what worked, what didn't work. We want to hear from you. And with all that said, let's dive into these Easter eggs.
Mikey's trying to come up with his score, so let's give him a minute to keyboard it out. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
9.5. It blew away the first one. A few off jokes were off. Ready for volume 3 to finish up the trilogy, you guys. There is officially only 3. Not 4, like I heard rumors of.
Yeah. Well, Mike, thank you so much for sharing.
I approve. High five, Baby Groot. You got guys, 2 9s.
Our combined score as a team is a 9.025. So we're going to say PopXcast is a 9 out of 10.
Is a 9 out of 10 from PopX.
Very nice.
Boom, shakalaka.
That's a great score. Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to lead out. We're going to do 3 Easter eggs apiece, and we're going to try to move through these as quickly as I can. We don't want to bore you guys, but also make sure you listen to some of these, because if you stayed for the end scene credits, or you saw some things in the film that you didn't really, you knew it may have been something important, but you didn't quite understand it, definitely listen to these, okay? And you're only going to hear these here on PopXcast, okay?
Right.
So number one is the big guns. And I'm talking about two ends, not one. James Gunn has become the king of hiding Easter eggs and cameos in his own films. However, not every single one of his Easter eggs is a Marvel mega secret. Such is the case with a nice family nod the director included in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. If you paid close attention, you got a great look at James Gunn's parents. Yes, during a scene on Earth, a blue mass was sweeping over the small town in Missouri, and there they are, James Gunn's parents trying to capture and take pictures of the blue glob all over Earth.
So funny.
That's pretty good. So, hats off, Mr. Gunn. Next one up we have, now this one is kind of near dear to my heart. We're talking about the 80s. Oh, snap. So there were some great references to the 1980s in the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, like when Star-Lord calls Korath a ninja turtle, or when he tells Gamora about the legend of the Footloose. Remember that?
Those. Yes.
However, in Volume 2, they jam in twice as many treats for the 80s babies, like myself. There's the device that Quill is using to track the beast at the beginning that is obviously a modified classic football handheld video game. Remember that thing? I think I did have one of those at one point, and I remember spilling Coca-Cola all over it. Then, of course, there's Quill's whole Cheers talk with Gamora. Remember the hit show Cheers? Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Making my way in the way, everything. Sorry. I have no idea where that. This is what happens when you've had too much caffeine or you're like tweaking. So, and we have and we doubt anybody missed it when he said he would use his newfound powers to make giant statues of Skeletor, Pac-Man, and Heather Locklear. Oh my gosh, there's Pac-Man and Miss Heather Locklear herself. Just in case any readers are unfamiliar with Locklear, she was an actress in the 80s who starred in popular shows of the decades like T.J. Hooker and Dynasty. Lastly, the biggest 80s Easter egg bomb of them all, the Hoff, David Hasselhoff, and his popular 80s show Knight Rider. They get name dropped multiple times, and then Hoff himself makes a cameo. Oh, snap.
He does.
Yes. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. David Hasselhoff is in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yes.
All right, so then the last for my round on this one on first round is ego continuity. All right, so we're talking about Ego, the living planet. In Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 pulls from a bunch of cool moments in Ego's history. It seems like Gunn was inspired heavily by the Fantastic Four number 235 from 1981, from which it seems he adapted much of the imagery in this issue. Look at that. That is so cool looking. That's Ego right there, guys.
That's
They're
awesome.
the Fantastic Four fighting Ego. So, as well as borrowing some key plot points, it is revealed that the Wanderers, a group of beings from different planets, have survived Galactus' attacks and were given sanctuary on Ego's surface, have been consumed. This is similar to how Ego used up many of his progeny in the movie, his offspring, if you will. Also, this issue includes Ben Grimm neck deep in Ego's surface, just like Drax in the film as he tries to get Mantis to the ship. Lastly, the Fantastic Four come up with a plan that sees Ben Grimm tasked with detonating a powerful pack in Ego's brain core. Does that sound familiar? Which is exactly how the Guardians beat him in the movie. Dun, dun, dun. Austin Burke.
I've been sitting here thinking real quick. The Guardians defeat Ego, right? Mm-hmm. And the Guardians have pretty big egos themselves. Did James Gunn do this on purpose where the Guardians metaphorically defeated their egos? Come on. And they all came together. Come on, man. This just puts James Gunn just...
To take that to another level, James Gunn and Chris Pratt also had real-life ego battles because they came from such a small world into a big world. That's a real thing that they discussed in an interview I read. So, yeah, take that to another level.
I can show you the world.
We are getting
Nerd nugget.
Metaphorical. I'm sorry. I'm going to go on. I'm going to go on with my things here. Okay, so Ego's avatar and Ego Prime. At first, many fans were averse to Ego the Living Planet being played by Kurt Russell as a humanoid character. However, in the comics, Ego can and has created an avatar to interact with smaller beings. He has also created what Mr. Fantastic dubbed antibodies, which are humanoid soldiers. Even further than that, there is a version of Ego that looks just like Russell's beardy MCU take on the cosmic character. When a Regelan scientist named Tana Nile takes a sample of Ego to try to use it to terraform a planet called Black World, Ego Prime, which is what you see right there, is created instead. He follows Tana to Earth, where he is engaged in battle by Thor and the Warriors 3. The loss of biomass drives Ego himself mad, and the sentient planet ends up killing a small group of Galactus survivors he had allowed to live on his surface. So that is very interesting. And I mean, Ego dies in the movie, but I wouldn't put it past James Gunn to do something like this eventually. You know what I mean? Just something on this scale, because that sounds crazy.
You look at this image, though. Look how much that they drew from this for Kurt Russell.
It literally looks.
They did.
It's pretty darn close. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And you guys noticed that they did the digital magic whenever they did the throwbacks to him visiting Earth, right?
That's the best I've ever seen.
The aging.
Yeah,
that's better than Rogue One, better than Civil War. He looked flawless. That was
and I can't remember her name now, but the actress that played Quill's mom, they did that to her as well.
Was it the same actress? Did they get the same actress?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Come on, James Gunn.
About 10 years off of her.
That's incredible. But moving on, so Species from the comics. The filmmakers managed to once again include a number of cool races from the comics. We meet a wide range of aliens within the ranks of the Ravengers. Yondu'S squad includes Krylorian, so that's the dark pink-skinned dude, a race that mostly appear in the Hulk continuity, and an Akon, not the rapper, that's the one with yellowish skin and the broad brow, whose warlike people can be found in Marvel's big cosmic titles of the 70s, like Nova and Captain Marvel. In the first film, the girl Quill has on his ship he is retrieving from the orb from Malrog is named Barit, and she is a Krylorian from the comics. He plants these little Easter eggs, and I didn't even know she was a Krylorian too, so that's really cool. But he plants these Easter eggs, and they all seem to come together at the end. And only if you're a true nerd like Mr. Joseph Burke, who's pulled all these amazing facts, you notice things like that. And I think that's
there's
incredible.
more to come based on the live I listened to today.
I can't approve or deny the fact I've went into a movie watching it the second time with a notepad.
Oh,
that is what you do, my friend.
Yeah,
that's what I do. That's only the nerdiest of the nerds.
It's a bad thing.
It's a curse and a blessing. So our final point is it's a good thing. Planets from the comics. So James Gunn and crew do a great job of faithfully adapting elements from the comics, as well as using names or small details as Easter eggs. The two planets we are given the names of Bearheart, I believe Bearheart, and Contraxia are most definitely yanked from the comic panels. Bearheart is a very obscure pick that has only appeared in 2 issues, it's crazy, of Incredible Hulk in 1969. Further, it is not even mentioned by name in the 2-part story. Contraxia, on the other hand, is notable because an Avenger named Jack of Hearts is half Contraxian. The planet first appeared in Jack of Hearts number 2 in 1984, and like in the film, it is cold. It's a snowy planet due to a dying sun. Also, like we just mentioned in the previous entry, we get a glimpse of Vandar and what seems to be the Kree homeworld, Hala, towards the end of the film. So are we setting up more things to come with the Kree?
That's very possible. All right. Well, let's talk about Mr. Sly for a minute. His character is Starcar's wings. When it leaked that Sylvester Stallone would show up in Volume 2, the internet was abuzz with theories on who he could be playing. While a popular rumor had it that he would be another one of the Elders of the Universe, it's much more satisfying that he turned out to be one of the original Guardians. But to be clear, in the initial lineup of that team, the official lineup of that team is Charlie 27, Martian X, Vance Astro, and Yondu. Starcar Gord is actually a very different addition to a space-faring squad. While the filmmakers didn't give him his flamboyant blue tights and gold wings, the gold wing look from the comics, there are several little nods to Starcar's classic Starhawk getup.
Cool.
His Ravager costume is dark blue, and he has golden vibrances that reference his gloves. And best of all, he has golden arches over his shoulders that call back to his retractable solar wind collector wings. I'm glad they didn't go all flamboyant, because that would be kind of creepy to see Sylvester Stallone.
But the fact he's there and they could one day let Starhawk be a part of this and let him fully fly in his yeah, that'd be awesome.
That would be really cool. Also, there was Celestials. As much as we dig how the filmmakers adapted Ego, the living planet, we could be remiss to not mention that he has never been a Celestial in the comics, as I think we maybe mentioned or hinted at earlier. At first, he was categorized as an Elder of the Universe, but a later retcon had him being created by an Elder of the Universe named the Stranger. However, with Ego and Peter being Celestials, that now makes 4 of these ancient demigods that we have met in the MCU. In the first film, we are introduced to Nowhere, which Gamora states is the severed head of an ancient celestial being. I remember that. That was actually really neat.
There he is.
Yeah, there he is. And then when the Collector explains that the orb is an Infinity Stone, his screen shows a 6-eyed celestial wielding one. This is most likely Essen, the Searcher from the comics. So we're getting a whole lot we're diving deep into the world of Celestials, y'all. Okay. And for my third, Id, the Selfish Moon. When Milano's away party arrives on Ego's planetoid, Peter says to Ego, "Wow, you have your own planet?" Ego responds, "Well, no larger than your Earth's moon." In the comics, Ego is definitely planet-sized and even bigger than Earth, apparently. However, he does have 2 brothers, and one of them is a moon. The story goes that the twins, Ego and Alter Ego, were created by the Stranger with materials provided by the Collector. Ego was allowed to roam free, while Alter Ego was kept in a pocket dimension in the Tannelier's collection. Then it was shoehorned in that there was an Id, the Selfish Moon, floating around too, and he had to come to existence naturally. Anyway, muddy continuity aside, thank you. The mention of moon seems like a cool side hint that Id Easter egg. Yes. Yes.
Id, the crazy planet. Yes, yes. So these giant planets just form to be. It's almost like their own ego creates a gravity center point, and something starts developing, and the next thing you know, you've got an intercelestial being. It's a planet.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
Cool.
All right,
so Chris has uncles, apparently.
Many uncles.
Technically.
Who knew?
Uncles from, get this, many moons ago.
Oh.
I see what you did there.
Yes. So let me ask you a question before I go into this. Is Peter Quill a celestial?
Well, he lost his powers. Technically, he is sort of, genetically speaking.
His DNA says it. So he's able to hold an Infinity Stone without dying.
Yes.
The answer would be yes.
That's right.
All right. So, credits disclaimer. Are you ready for this one? Diving down the rabbit hole. Here we
Love
go.
it.
There is so much going on in the credits. It's nearly impossible to catch every single thing that the filmmakers have packed in. Just before the bonus scene with the Watchers and Stan Lee, there is a new spin on a familiar credits disclaimer. It states, "No raccoons or trees or creatures were harmed during the making of this feature." The same cannot be said for handlers of said raccoon and tree creatures. Oh, snap. So, this is a cool nod to Oreo, a real-life raccoon that was used as a model for Rocket. In 2014 interview, Gunn stated, "Our rocket is based on a combination of our voice actor Bradley Cooper and our actor and my brother Sean Gunn. The movements and behavior and the look is from Oreo." There's Oreo.
That's
Look
cool.
at that.
There he is.
So this cute little critter was riding on Gunn's shoulder at the UK premiere of the first film, and there is Mr. Oreo. Yes. So moving on here, we got the connections to the first film. In case you missed them, there's quite a few. There's a bunch of fun little details that connect the first and second films. Clearly, their continuity supervisor is obviously on point. In the first film, when the Guardians and the Ravengers are making their plan to stop Ronan, Rocket says, "There's more. There's one more thing we need to complete. The plan. That guy's eye." While pointing at the Ravager's cybernetic implant, seemingly the eye shows up again in Volume 2 when Rocket and Yondu are locked up in this, and they are sending Baby Groot to find Yondu's prototype fin. He brings various items before, and he shows up with a said ocular device. And another deep Easter egg has to do with the ship that Rocket and Yondu used to rescue the team. Rocket mentions that Yondu had used it to rob the bank of Ascavaria. Well, Ascavarian is one of the species Quill tells Drax that he's been with in the first film. So, who would want to be with an Ascavarian? I don't know.
Man who has lain with an Ascavarian.
The man who has lain with an Ascavarian. Behold, his genitalia has turned purple.
Behold.
Yes. All right, so moving on. So, more connections to the first film and the Avengers. Dun, dun, dun. There were just too many good callbacks in the first film for just one entry. Another great connection is Greg Henry appearing once again as Peter's Gramps. Now, you see him in the car with a lady friend just as the Blue Eagle mass on Earth is halted. We also get the return of Yondu's troll doll during his funeral. So that's kind of weird and interesting. Many fans were sure the toy was a Pip, the troll Easter egg in the first movie. Now, only the keen-eyed would have noticed that when the troll doll is laid down beside Yondu, his jeweled frog that he got from the broker is already sitting there. So remember the broker, the scene in the first opening of the Guardians of the Galaxy? The reference to Earth's mightiest heroes happens right near the end and is an homage to the 360-degree shot from the Avengers when they are all standing in a circle while fighting the Chitauri. It's basically the same shot, but with the Guardians as the galaxies themselves, which is
so
a nice.
Cool.
Yes, that is very cool. So that's awesome. We only got 4 nuggets left, guys. We're barreling down here.
4 nuggets.
Go
almost done.
1 nugget. We're at the end of our Happy Meal. Okay, so let's get metaphorical, guys, and talk about Taserface, Browl, and Tulk.
What kind of name is Taserface?
Taserface.
That was a great ongoing joke in the movie. Okay, anyway, I'm sorry I keep talking about it. So the Ravengers are not from the comics. So Gunn has filled their ranks with comic book characters and species to legitimize them with fans. For example, like we mentioned in number 14, he included the Krylorian and Akon Ravengers this time out. They may have not have been actual characters, but simply they brought new races into the MCU. That gets us giddy. Then he took it to the next level and made 2 of the Ravengers important Guardian foes. And one, a super obscure Ronin associate. Taserface is from a race called the Stark. Sound familiar? He evolved thanks to refuse shot into space. He was shot into space by Tony Stark and opposed the original Guardians during the early 90s. Brawl was part of the Minions of Menace and has done battle with various incarnations of the Guardians team. Tulk was a mercenary that worked for Ronan the Accuser when he was exiled by the Kree Empire. However, none of these characters take much more than the name from their comic counterparts. So James Gunn, he pulls these guys from the comic books and he turns them into James Gunn characters, which is really cool.
Yes.
So our next one is the credits themselves. So we'll cover after credits, mid-credits scenes in the next 2 entries. But this entry deals with all the goodies Gunn has planted in the credits themselves. All the way through the credits, there are names or positions that appear as I Am Groot. And right before they disappear off the screen, they are translated, which I thought was brilliant.
I love that.
It was such a cool little nugget. And then after the main cast credits, we get a still of Cosmo, the telepathic canine cosmonaut who appeared in the first film. Next, we get the Grand Master, and we've already hit on this, played by Jeff Goldblum, dancing alongside the credits. That was a really cool nod. Then there's the illustrated image of Ego. That is comics accurate. And right after the teenage Groot scene, we get a still of Howard the Duck, who made an appearance in the movie as well. Lastly, just before the last bonus scene, David Hasselhoff, aka Zardu Hasselfrau, appears saying, "In times of hardship, it's best to remember we are Groot." And I thought that was so cool. And if you actually go listen to the soundtrack, that is in the last song, and David Hasselhoff does the lyrics, which is awesome. And so our final point is eternity and Zardu. So we could be reaching here, but we think we found two of the most obscure references in the entire film. Gamora misremembers David Hasselhoff's name as Zardu Hasselfrau. The only Zardu we could find in the comics only appeared in X-Men Legacy #1 in 2012, and he was associated with David Haller, aka Legion. Legion is helping ease the minds of geriatric psychics, and Zardu is the only one we see get treated. In the comics universe itself, this is a huge entity known as Eternity. This being as visually striking as it is just the shape of a humanoid filled with a star field. Well, when Ego tells Peter about taking over the whole universe, he shares his plan with a touch. Upon realizing the magnitude of it, Peter utters the word eternity as his eyes glaze over and are filled with a star field, which I think, and I don't even think this is a straight, I think that's a clear reference to eternity. So two crazy pulls from James Gunn. And we found him out. Joe found him out. Great job, Joe.
You did. Yes.
Da 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 da.
Well, I will make a note that Baby Groot in the cutscene at the end is not technically teenager yet. He is tween.
He's a tween.
He's a tween.
Adolescent tween.
Yeah.
To be
That's the worst.
specific. So he probably has, like, I don't know, whatever the equivalent to Justin Bieber on his wall.
Yep. He may have Justin Bieber.
He may have Justin Bieber. Who knows? All right. So, you guys, we're going to wrap this up with the very last
and the best
of our, and the best, of course.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Adam Warlock.
Oh.
You guys. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as it was announced that Elizabeth Debicki, it is Debicki, right?
Mm-hmm.
Debicki. So as soon as it was announced that she would be playing Aisha, fans knew Adam Warlock couldn't be far behind. Marvel has already teased his appearance twice with a cocoon in the Collector's Museum, but apparently those were just feats. Just faking you out.
Yep.
Just faking you out. All right. The mid-credit scene where he makes his coming to it's imminent as Aisha actually says his name. In case you're not up on decades of Marvel comic continuity, we'll let you know that Warlock, aka him, is being genetically engineered to be the perfect human. However, after being manipulated by the cosmic being Lord Chaos, Master Otter, sure, and the in-betweener, he became a tyrant called the Magus.
Cool.
Adam, with the help of the Infinity Gems, later split his self into 3 separate beings to more evenly wield the gems, creating his good version, the woman known as the Goddess, who bears a striking resemblance to Aisha.
Oh, what a pull. Oh.
That's pretty crazy stuff.
That is just...
Yeah.
That is pop
And
X.
I would assume that is a gigantic suggestion that he is the next big bad to be seen in Volume 3.
Oh, yeah. That's
Probably, I would probably say we're going to see Adam Warlock become... He's probably going to be a villain. But I think at the end of the movie, he's going to understand that he's going to flip, he's going to turn, and he's going to understand his worth. And I'm not sure how Peter Gunn and Team Marvel Entertainment are going to do this, but I know that go ahead. I was going to say that Adam Warlock is one of the only individuals in the MCU to be able to defeat Thanos. And
I was going to say that just his appearance and his confirmation that he will appear is paving the way to the Infinity Wars. But I know that James Gunn and Marvel have both definitely confirmed that he is not going to appear actually in the Infinity Wars movie.
Well, he may not appear in part 1.
That's
possible.
Infinity War is a movie of itself. This second movie yet to be named.
Do you guys have any casting choices for Adam Warlock? Any
casting choices? Oh, this is a good one.
I got Matthew McConaughey in my mind for some reason, and I don't know why. I'm feeling that. You know, Matthew McConaughey almost played Ego.
That would be
horrible.
Was in
talks. He was in talks to play Ego. So he does have a thing with James Gunn, and I feel like he's going to be in there eventually. I really do.
It's really interesting.
Maybe they can make him a Ravager.
He would be a good Ravager. All right.
I want to just pick this bugger out of my nose.
Play this bugger.
I would say, honestly, for me, geez, who do you think, Austin? Who do you think would be a good casting call for Adam Warlock?
I like Matthew McConaughey. I dig that. I think that'd be a cool casting choice. As of late, I've liked his stuff a lot. So I think Matthew McConaughey.
All right, Lindsay Badger.
I'm trying to think. Oh gosh, I can't think of his name now. You guys help me out with the new Captain Kirk.
Chris Pine.
Yes, that would be cool.
I'd like to see him in a Marvel universe. That would be cool to see
him
a good pull.
Cross over to the comic side. Yes.
Well, I'm thinking here on my pick, and I honestly, I don't know. I would have to actually have time to dwell on this. But if I'm looking at this image right here, and I'm not,
is he gold as well?
Yes.
Is he gold? Like
my
gosh, Captain Kirk would be gorgeous gold. I'm sorry.
Wow. But if you look at this cocoon here, if you look at the cocoon here in the image, it kind of resembles like the cocoon that we saw in the end scene credits, where Aisha looks up and says, "I'm going to name him Adam." If you see, this kind of got the ribbed pattern on it. It's very, very resemblance to that. In terms of him, I don't know. There's so many good actors out there, especially ones that are in. I would say, honestly, I know it's kind of a pull, but what is the actor's name that's playing Legion in Legion?
He would be good. I don't know his name.
From Beauty and the Beast. Daggone it. This was trivia.
I like our list, you guys. I hope all three of them get picked.
I can't think of his name right off the bat.
Dan Stevens.
I think Dan Stevens. I mean, even though he's doing X-Men. Hey, come on now. Come on. I mean,
that's great.
That would be really awesome.
That is great. And he's a lesser known too. So
yeah, he's a lesser known, and it would be good to see him actually step up because he's coming from television to a cinematic role, and I think that would be really awesome.
And you guys, I know we mentioned the Watchers with Stan Lee.
Yes,
James Gunn pulled that from the fan sites.
Really? Is that what he said in the?
Yeah, he said it in the live. I've read it on a couple of the sites too with the interviews. Is that he does his research, you guys. And
he loves his fans.
He loves his fans, and he loves the reactions and the feedback, and so he listens to them. And that's where that scene came from. Is he built it off of the theory that Stan Lee is a Watcher.
Yeah, and if you Google Stan Lee, it's amazing. Owatu, O-A-T-U. If you Google the Watcher and then add Owatu in there, he's actually. I think Peter Gunn and Stan Lee are right on point. I think he's Owatu the Watcher, and I'm going to let you do your own research on that. I think it's cool that they actually
brought that up.
That's so cool.
Before we wrap up, guys, I got one more thing I want to drop you. It's not in the notes, but I'm going to give it to you. Okay. The end scene credit where Sylvester Stallone is huddled around a group of misfits, and we don't know who they are. I'm going to tell you who they are. Because you need to know this, okay?
They're the original Guardians.
We have Stakar Ogord, of course. That is Sylvester Stallone Sly himself, and the beautiful thing about him is, and they may not never expand on this in the movies, but he is able to time travel and he relives his life infinitely. So when he dies, he's reborn and he lives his whole life over again. All right, so we have Charlie 27. Charlie 27, if you didn't recognize, that was Ving Rhames. And also Martinex, the glassy dude that looks like shattered glass. That's actually
that's his name.
Martinex. He's actually.
I think I called him Martinex instead of Martinex.
It's okay. Michael Rosenbaum, aka Lex Luthor from Smallville. Did anybody pick up on that guy?
And the Flash from Justice League, the animated series.
Yes. And then we have Alita, and that is Michelle Yeoh. And of course, Mainframe, the mask, that was Miley Cyrus.
I did remember her name on the list.
All right, and this is the most interesting one. It kind of ties everything together, and that is Kruger. Did you remember the little red dragon doing the mystical things and had the fingers pointing up like, "Hey, dude, what's going on?" Mm-hmm. Well, that's actually he harnesses mystical energy like Doctor Strange, and in the comics, he actually succeeds Doctor Strange as Sorcerer Supreme.
Whoa!
Wow. What a pull! What a pull!
Done.
Nice.
There you go. There's
so many nerd nuggets this week, you guys. I'm gonna have to listen to this show like 3 times to.
If you're keeping track, that is actually the original Guardians of the Galaxy as pictured right here. Yes. So cool. Yeah, here Martinex. Look at his counterpart in the comics right there.
That is amazing.
Isn't that cool?
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that cool? All right, so moving on here, guys. So as always, if you see something exciting on the shelves or at your local comic book shop or around the theater and the geek culture in general, let us know on social media with our hashtag YoPopX. Speaking of which, Lindsay Badger, did you have a good comic book day?
It was the best comic book day ever. I think it was better than last year.
Really? Okay.
It was really good for me.
Yes, I did manage to snag a copy of The Secret Empire and send it to Joe since he was
so good.
out in the middle of nowhere. Good. But my kids had such a great time. My son saw Spider-Man and ran and dang near tackled the dude. And he got to hold Captain America's shield. So I'm going to have to say my kids had a really good time. And they did the Jedi thing again, too.
I'm jealous.
That's awesome. Well, that's pretty cool. So hashtag YoPopX. If you use the hashtag, we will search the internet and maybe use your image or your post on a future show. So definitely look for that. And Lindsay, thank you so much for getting the comic book while I was in regions of known in South Carolina.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
Also, guys, we are part of an amazing network called the Gonna Geek Network. For all things even more geeky, head over to GonnaGeek.com and check out some amazing podcasts on our home network.
Yes, and be sure to follow us on the social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, and Pinterest, all at PopXcast. We love to hear from our listeners. Make sure you send all those comments and suggestions to popxcast@gmail.com. And also for future and past shows, make sure you go to our official website, www.popxcast.com.
Guys, I am Austin Burke. You like the floating butterfly? I'm Austin Burke.
I'm doing happy hands. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine, baby. So I'm Austin Burke at the Burkinator on the Twits and the Instagram. I almost said the tits. And you guys can go to my YouTube page, Austin Burke, and find mine and Joseph's immediate reaction to the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. We were on a Guardians high, so you definitely want to go check that out. And Joe, people seem to like our review, man. We need to do some more of those for sure.
Yes, we do need to do some more. I'm going to see Alien Covenant this week. So,
all right.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be great.
That's good so fun. All right. Well, you guys can find me, Lindsay Badger, at LR Badger, all over the interwebs.
And I am Joe Burke. If you've not figured that out by now, then I'm so sorry. You can find me all over the interwebs at Joseph Burke Arts. And, of course, hats off to amazing Team POPX. As always, Miss Lindsay Badger, thank you so much for sending out the links, getting our promos and our adverts, and setting up the events. And, my God, you're a one-woman powerhouse media station. I can't say enough more about you. You're just freaking boom sauce.
We try. Yes. I have a partner now. So
and he's cute, by the way.
He is cute.
He's very cute. And also, I want to say, Mr. Mike Ippolito, thank you so much for all the graphic love and throwing down what you do every single week. We really do appreciate. Kill it, Mike. Yeah, you welcome.
A little wink from Rocket Raccoon, baby.
Yeah, I love Rocket. And to my cousin down here, my DNA genetic offspring of some kind of weird hepathic intergalactical means, Mr. Austin Burke. Thanks, Mr. Austin Burke.
Oh, anytime, man. This was a great show.
All right, guys. Well, we are going to go ahead and drop in a little bit of a hint. I don't know if Mike has the graphic for their show in 2 weeks, but we're actually going to be doing now in 2 weeks. We got let's see, what is that? Memorial Day? Is that Memorial Day coming up?
Yeah, Memorial Day.
So it's Memorial Day weekend. So we're not going to actually record on Sunday night. So we're going to try to see if we can do it 3 days before on Wednesday night. And that'll be May the 24th. So that's 10 days from today. Look at this image, guys. We're going to be diving into origin stories of Celestials and Adam Warlock.
Can't miss this.
Do you think that's a little bit kind of planned? I think so. Oh, he's Groot. Did you hear that? All right, guys. From all of us here at PopXcast, thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading. And we will see you on the next episode of PopXcast. Take care.
See ya.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.
From everyone at PopXcast, thanks for listening. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and subscribe for more great content. Drop us an email, popxcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook and YouTube, all at PopXcast. Get your geek on.